What's up, bro? It's your boy Mike Muse. First episode of the Mike Muse Show. I am so excited to be in conversation with you right now. And I mean, just for so many reasons, just to get this thing started. I gotta tell you, the pandemic and working from home has been a joy, a blessing, complicated. But if anything, it's made us not stressed about the little things. I used to remember being in the studios at SiriusXM, and I used to stress over the little things, was the mics at the right level, what was the room temperature, like was the water in there, what music was being played when my guests walked in, the lighting. And now I'm just happy if I can get Wi-Fi, right? And so it just makes me want to concentrate just on the interview. And let me tell you, this interview doesn't fall short of anything, but I'm just glad we made it here today.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to go ahead and just get to it. I usually warm up with a great opener and a great monologue and all the really cool things, but I'm excited for this next guest. I feel like I've known him for years. I feel like we have been friends, and I have never met this brother in real life whatsoever. Ironically, I met him through Instagram and by like liking his posts. And I think what I like about him is his vulnerability. The man I'm talking about is the name actor Curtis Cook, who is the lead on Showtime's hit show, The Chi. So let me bring him in as if he's not here with us today. What's up, Curtis?
Mike Muse, bruh.
What's good, my guy?
I'm having a wonderful day, man. I'm having a great day, and thank you for saying that. It's weird because I felt the same way. I remember hearing you. I live on the East Coast. I live up in the mountains, and I drive into the city a lot in New York City. And on some of those mornings, I would listen to Sway in the morning. And I remember just kind of hearing you coming in with these kind of quick clips, but I was like, this brother is like so knowledgeable, but it's so personable. It wasn't like it was, I'm giving you the news, so therefore I'm going to tell you what it's going to be. It would be like, no, what they're doing today is actually illegal, because if they would have done that, I'd be like, oh, let me listen to Brad, because he's breaking it down.
Yeah.
And I would have never imagined. I was like, well, there would be no reason for me and Mike Muse to even have a conversation, because I'm like, I'm not in that political world and whatever. And here I get to sit and talk with you, bro. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
For inviting me.
Thank you for coming on the show. I've been excited. And ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to go to his Instagram at Curtis Cook. Curtis, I'm not lying to you, brother. Like, I see why you're such a great actor, and my audience knows that I don't prefer interviewing actors. Actually, like I actually prefer directors and producers, just because they kind of a little bit more have control. Not control, but they know the direction they want to take the storyline. They know they get to the why, right? And then sometimes some actors, they're acting for the check sometimes. Sometimes they're just playing the character, to get to another role. And I'm not knocking all actors, but it's rare I get a chance to sit with thespians. And when I get a chance to speak with thespians, man, I'm just overjoyed. And I consider you to be a thespian. And I think the reason why you're such a great actor is because of how vulnerable you show up in everything you do in your life. Your Instagram, what really got me was when you announced that you were going to become a series regular. For the first time in your acting career as the mayor on The Chi. In the post, it wasn't super long, it wasn't super emotional, but it was just it was filled with such gratitude, and it was filled with such an appreciation, and you did it in a way to encourage people. And it was just something about the way you wrote it that made me connect with you in a very special way. Because I believe what you've experienced in this pandemic of success, and folks, the brother is going to keep going. He's going to be on the West Side Story too, as well, with Steven Spielberg. So the blessings are coming for him. And I feel like for me, Curtis, I can relate to that because I'm having my best professional career during this global pandemic that we're having. And I know that's odd, right? But like some people are having really difficult time periods economically, professionally, personally, emotionally, all those things. I want to make sure I bring that into the conversation. But there is some of us who have experienced breakthroughs. It's just kind of happened that maybe our careers was ripe for this type of pandemic that's allowed this awakening, a birth of newness. And so for me, I'm having that. When I watch you having that, I felt like I could relate, and I'm sure my audience can relate to as well. Talk to me about that post. And I think I know what I'm referring to. Why was that the way you wrote it? Why was that so important for you to get it out there? like that in the way that you did?
Thanks, man, for that question. It's for a couple of reasons, really. I've been in this business for over 30 something years. After I got out of college, I came straight to New York City. And all I really ever wanted to do was musical theater, and Broadway and stage plays. I got my first kind of television role, like a little incidental thing on this one show, and I realized you can get paid a lot more than you did doing 8 shows a week. So I said, hey. So then I started this whole process of trying to understand the camera and understand how a theater actor or a stage actor transfers over into television and film primarily, and that was a journey for me. And in that journey, a lot of times when we're younger, we think we got it and we know what to do, right? I can do this. I should be on the show. I should be a regular on the show. So you're fighting and you're doing all these things. And of course, our business, my business is a lot of door slams. There's a lot of no's. There's a lot of no's for unnecessary reasons. And then there's a lot of no's because you just aren't ready. And you need to go back to the drawing board and figure it all out, right? And through that process for me, and that journey, I got married. We had children. We had 3 children. My wife at the time decided to leave with me and the 3 children. So I was a single dad, still doing my profession, doing that process and getting the no's and everything. Then I ended up getting to Broadway, and then I ended up meeting my current wife, Angelica, and having 2 more children, twins. So now I have 5 children. All this time still trying to find my way into a regular on a TV series. Never giving up. And I must say, this is the only job I've ever had. I've only paid for myself by acting. Actually that's not true. Before Curtis Jr. was born, Curtis is my oldest, he's 30 years old. I worked at a advertising agency as a receptionist. And that was because I needed a gig. And I started there as a temp. And the person I was temping for left. And I was like, oh, can I have this job? He was like, yeah, you can have this job. And so that was for the insurance because we were pregnant with Curtis at the time, blah, blah, blah. So I've had pilots before where I was regulars on these shows that didn't go. There was a lot of that. I've had opportunities where I was big recurrence on shows that didn't happen. And so when this came about, during this isolated time that we were in our country, although I felt like I've always known myself and who and what I am, this made you focus on it a lot more. You had a lot more time to sit with yourself and digest and understand who and what you are and how important you are, or how important you thought you was, and you weren't. So you need to kind of recalibrate who and what I was. And so that's what I was doing a lot of this pandemic, right? And during this time, The Chi had already aired. Season 3 had already aired. We wasn't sure if season 4 was going to come. So I betted on myself. I betted on, this is what I would like for, if I'm able to come back to the Chi, this is what I would like for it to be, and this is how I would like for it to show up. And when normally I would kind of hear the offers or whatever and just kind of be like, okay, how much more money can we get? What can we do with this? Whatever. This time I said, hey, this is what I would like for it to be. Not because I'm grandiose and I deserve this and this is what, hey, we're doing hard business. It's like, no, this is what I would like for this to be, and this is what I feel like I deserve. I've been doing this a long time, and if they say no, I'm willing to say, okay, I'm cool. I'm cool with that decision. I understand it's your show. You can do whatever you want to do. But I realized during this time of isolation and along with my family and my wife and my children that no matter what, I was going to be okay. Because if I'm making it through this way, I'm going to be all right. So when it subsequently everything happened the way that it did, it made me say, I'm getting emotional, Mike. It made me say, be grateful to not only to the intuition of speaking up for myself and asking for what I would like, but also to those ancestors who are always around me and always guiding me, and who I'm now able to listen to a little clearer or take their advice and do. It's funny that you mentioned that post, because something just happened before I got on the phone with you. Or the Zoom with you. There was a young lady who did the new poster for the show, right? And it's a beautiful poster if you get to see it. And she had posted that it's in the subways of New York City. And it's like all over, right? You know how they do when the new show is coming out. So it's all these billboards of the Chi, whatever. And so I looked on Instagram and I saw it and I was like, wow. I said, I have been in this city for over 30 years. And I've watched so many shows come and go on these subways, on these things, and now there is my face on that. I've been there when I had to jump the turnstile and only had one token. And I said this in the post. And yes, I said a token. This was when we still used tokens. And then maybe not even had enough money to get back. But the fact that now my face is on a show that I respect and I value, it's on these posters. It's almost like I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you, universe. Thank you. And that, I think that should be an inspiration to all the other actors who are over 40 or over 50 years old and are still out there hustling and waiting for that. I mean, it's not that I haven't worked. I don't want to make it sound like I hadn't worked. I was working. I was a surviving actor and I was paying bills. I bought a house, officer. I did 2 Broadway shows. I had movies with Leonardo DiCaprio. So I was working, right? So it wasn't like I was like, this is my first gig ever. But there's something to first, right? And having that opportunity of first. And the fact that it was this and this kind of show, and it was black show, and it's unapologetic black show, and it's like hard hitting black show, and it's not shying away for a lot of stuff, and it's a place where you can come in and kind of give your input and your ideas, and they're like welcoming, you know what I mean? It just meant so much more. And I just wanted to say, a lot of times some of us actors, we posture so much, and we need to save face, and we need to be certain things for so long that we forget that from whence we came. And I wanted to show the folk that I haven't forgotten, and if I can do this, if I can make it this way just by doing the work and sticking to it, oh my goodness, you can too, and you will do it. You will. It may not happen when you think it should, it may not happen when you thought, but it will if you just stick to it. And I just wanted to just say it because that's what was on my heart, and that's how I felt. And I know that was a long ass answer to your question. I apologize, but that's why I feel like I needed to post that post.
No, you need to say that, Curtis. And I didn't interrupt you. I would normally interrupt the guest, but normally guests would speak that long ramble. But you were very clear and concise, so I can tell that was on your spirit, on your heart. And my job as a host is to get out of the way and just to moderate the energy that is given off. I know your team and every team of my guests hates me because I never prepare questions. I never give them questions in advance. Right. But I always tell the studios and the publicists, like, yo, this interview is going to be as good as your client is, right? The more your client gives and honest they are, the better the conversation is going to be. And I know you're connected to our audience right now. But I just wanted to say to the audience a little backdrop about what that subway story really means for those of you who do not live in New York. The subway ads are just as iconic as Times Square billboard ads are. The subway ads in relationship to the Times Square billboards are just as important as when you see a bus with the advertisements on the side of the bus. There's something about New York that's like, there's certain things that are just really big and iconic, and those little things are. So for Curtis to have gone in there every day or a large part of his life, especially taking tokens, and to see other actors, other faces, other things, and never have seen his, is such a great testament to what a great human being it is, and karma, and when it's your time. I want to talk, Curtis. We're going to get to the shy. I promise, Showtime, we're going to get to the shy. But you hit something with me. Look, and I saw the Instagram where you said that you had other pilots, and the pilots never got picked up. Audience, a pilot is just a show that's on trial, right? And then if it gets picked up, it goes to series, and things just didn't work out for you. What made you want to keep going? Because for me, I created this intersection of politics and pop culture. It didn't exist at the time. This was back in like 06, 07, 08. Now everyone says they're doing intersecting politics and pop culture. But at the time, people would judge me and laugh at me. And what is that? How do you make money? And all these things. And I wasn't getting opportunities I wanted. And Curtis, there was a time, almost about maybe 5, 6 years ago, where I thought about packing up and moving back to the state of Michigan and starting over. And then that one phone call came, that one opportunity came that's allowed me to be where I am today. So what kept you going, right? To get to that point of recognizing your value during this time period, to make that type of ask and not to go with the status quo?
Yeah. Great question, bro. Couple of things come to mind initially, right? One was that I knew that I could do it. I knew that there would be a project or creators or people that I would work with that would allow me to thrive. And it was just a matter of finding that, right? The other thing was, for me with acting is, I have a friend who I've known since kindergarten, right? And he said to me a long time ago, he said, you didn't find acting, you know, acting found you. It's like I've been doing this all my life. So it's almost as if I stop doing this, I almost feel like I don't know what else I would do. I mean, I had a theater company in the city for a while where, you know, we were doing off Broadway theater, so nobody was getting any money. You know, we was getting whatever, and we loved it though, and we were very well known. It was called Tupukweli Theater Company, and so so those are two main things. One, I feel like I love this so much, I don't want to do anything else. Two, I knew that I was getting closer to my goal or to where I wanted to be. And each time and I knew that the reason why those shows didn't go or didn't happen or whatever else, I knew I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I knew it wasn't like my fault. It was like if I had done whatever, and maybe if there was something in it, I wish I could tell you this one story. I'm going to tell you this one story, but I'm going to try to keep it as generic as possible. There's a very big show on a very big network, cable network, and the lead of the show was a white woman, very popular white woman. They were citing that they were going to push out and they were going to branch her out, and she's like an American darling, right? Like an American darling. So they were going to branch out and bring her on a black love interest. Now, if you think of the history of this actress, you've never really seen her with any African American or any people of color in that capacity. So when I heard about it, and we did we auditioned, we got it, we had a chemistry, she and I went out to dinner, like a lunch actually, just to kind of fill each other out. Seemed very pleasant, but you know, removed, but she's a star, big star, so you know, you like, I get it, hey, you don't know me, you don't want to switch my, anyway, long story longer. We get to, I get the role, and it's like, wow, and it's a big thing. It's like, this is gonna be the thing that changes my career. We get in, so it's a guarantee, they only do 10 episodes, and I was guaranteed for 7 of those episodes. So I was a reoccurring, not a regular. So my first episode, which was my big introduction episode, was supposed to start shooting, let's say, in 2 days, right? But they say, hey, we want you to come to the table read, for your second episode, where in that episode, I think I had like maybe 4 lines, really, nothing really to do. Get to the table read, and everyone's there. Everyone's there. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot of people for a table read. It's like the pilot, it's like the first thing ever. And they've been on the air for 3 seasons. They're going into their 2 seasons. They were going into their 3rd season, introducing me. So anyway, do the table read. Like I said, I had like 4 lines. There's nothing to mess up. So at the beginning, she's like, hey, Curtis, how are you? I'm like, hey, how are you? Whatever. At the end of the table read, this individual did not look at me and literally turned their back to me and started talking to other people. And I was like, that's odd. You know, but I'm like, oh, Curtis, you're tripping. What? Just relax for a minute. So then I'm going around the room and everybody else is a little interesting. Like their energy is interesting. I'm like, okay, now you're being very sensitive, dude. You need to relax. So I get in the car, my manager calls, like, hey, so how did the table read go? I said, I don't know what's going on, but something happened. She's like, oh, you're probably taking it too long. A couple days later, I get a call from my agent saying, oh, they've decided to go a different way. I'm like, what do you mean? I have the role already. I mean, we're guaranteed. They're like, they're gonna pay us for all the episodes, but they've decided not to do that. So I'm like, what the? So this is the part of, did I do anything wrong, right? Like if I had, so I'm going through my mind, what did I do that day? Did I say something wrong inappropriately? Did I, you know what I mean? I'm processing the whole day and over, and I'm sick to my stomach because this was that thing. And then it was like, but you're getting all this money. I'm like, you know what? I thank you. I'm not going to refuse it, but it doesn't equate. It's not. It doesn't make me feel any better. Come to find out, a couple days later, a couple weeks later, they announce who's now the love interest. And needless to say, he's blonde-haired, blue-eyed. I love the dude to death. A good friend of mine, actually. We were on the road together. Really nice dude. Really nice actor as well. But it was like, wow. Wow. And the other thing I felt like is that you knew that before I got to the room. So this was not, you know, but you needed to have something to say. You needed to have an official, this is my opinion of it, right? As people start Googling, like, what show was that? Because I know I'm going to figure that out. You're not going to figure it out. But, so so why continue on? It was because at that instance, I know that I didn't do anything wrong. And I know that if I can get that one at that level and that caliber, and there was people that believed in me, I can do it again. So I need to continue to try until I feel like, you know what? I am not going to be the world best. I'm not going to be Rafael Nadal in tennis. No matter how hard I try right now, no matter how much I strive to, that's not going to happen. So I'd be like, I'm just going to play in my backyard for fun. But this was something I knew that I could do, and I can do, and I'm not going to stop until I do that. And my next goal is to be and have my own show. You know what I mean? To have my own show where I'm the tent pole. Yeah. I'm the, you know what I mean, and bring in another ensemble like this, and I will get that too. I might be 97 years old, but y'all better.
But you get it. Yeah. Audience, I think what Curtis is saying is this. Curtis, I love your stories, by the way. They tell so many lessons, right? And I know my audience is enjoying it because I'm enjoying it. But audience, what came to my mind, I'm curious with you, audience, as our truck drivers are out there, you know, as our teachers are out there, our doctors are out there, our social workers are out there listening, your receptionists, you know, those who are, you know, working really interesting jobs. We can all relate to that, right? You can all relate to walking in not knowing that dynamic of race, right? And audience, I was getting from Curtis is that, you know, I often have this dynamic because we're so, I think Black people and people of color have always been sensitive to are different when we enter into a room. And there's always this reason when you get negative energy, you're always like, is it because I'm Black? Is it because I'm a person of color? Is it because they're not receptive to this? And then when something doesn't go your way, it's like, was it because I was Black? I don't think it is. Am I tripping? You overthink it. And then to get confirmation that they went with a white guy, you're like, well, it was because I was Black. But they brought me into this table reading for data to say that maybe I messed up those 4 lines. They went in a different direction. And so these are all the things, audience, that we're constantly having to navigate. And I think what's great about the story is that it doesn't matter your career, your profession. You know, me, I always try and bring it back to, you know, relatable aspects of it, audience. And I think for me, that's what's the takeaway of Curtis. I'm dealing with that right now. And something I'm working on is always like this undertones of race. And I think that people, like white people, never have to do that dance, right? Like for them, it really does come down to sometimes, I guess, merit, or I don't know. But for us, so many other things come into play before we even get to merit because we know that we're qualified to being in there. Well, Curtis, this gets to the shy, because for me, the shy is, you know, I love doing these type of conversations because pop culture for me is a great moderator for our social construct and what is happening in society. You know, pop culture, art, music, film, television holds up a mirror to our society and it really talks about what we're dealing with. You know, audience, I watched the first episode of The Chi and it's intense. It's powerful, it's intense, it's gripping. But Curtis, it was almost too close to home for me. Home meaning too close to reality, right? And kind of like the story you just shared, right? That's not even too close to home. That is home for me, right? And so how, you know, as an actor, did you approach these storylines? Because it deals with police dynamics, folks. You know, it deals with the confrontations that we have to face as Black people when it comes to police and authority, right? Like, how are you guys gripping with this as an actor? You know, how was that for you? Because you have to play the part that is actually playing out every day in reality.
Right. Another great question, man. You got to start with all these great questions. But I think it's almost as a cathartic release, almost, because within this construct of this script or whatever, some ways I'm able to do what Curtis is not able to do, and what Curtis sometimes want to do in the real time, in the real space, right? So the fact that now I'm in a safe haven, we're all actors, I get to say these things with the same vigor and the same passion that I would if it was really me, and because a lot of it I agree with this. You said you saw the first episode of season 4, or you said
season 4.
Okay, so you know a lot of, yes. So I get to I get to make a stand that I dare say will be happening in our country very soon. I'm thinking there is a city or state or somebody who's going to literally do what Otis Perry is doing in this season of The Chi. And the fact that he does it without any thinking about it is just a gutter reaction. I call it like a Trumpian act, which the things that I learned, if there's any great things to put away from me from this guy that just left, and I just hope that we never hear again, it was how jacked up our system was because it's so veiled and covered by certain laws or certain people that can push you forward without any real credibility. There were times when this dude did things where I was like, that must not be able to happen, so he's definitely going to be gone now. And then somehow that would get circumvented with he's still here, and then it would make me kind of look, it's like, wait a minute, is that, oh, that loophole, oh, then it would be some, so it made me investigate how broken our system is. And so in this case, being that these stories are life, art imitating life, imitating art, you get an opportunity to show sometimes, not all the time, sometimes we get an opportunity to show this is what's going on, right? But what if this is going on, this happened? What if you thought about this instead of that? And so it gets your mind thinking, be like, oh, okay, maybe not that though, but maybe this. So you start to think on how you can navigate or change your circumstances based on movies and television shows. And that's another reason why I just love the art of acting, because sometimes I can read something and it can be like, okay, big bag, like let's just say Duda, initially maybe big bag, scary thug dude, right? It's like, okay, that's great. How many times have we seen that? A lot. How many times have we seen this guy who actually really cares for something and he's conflicted with who and what he is and how he's going to deal with it? Maybe a couple of times, but how many times have we seen this guy conflicted, whatever else, has an agenda, doesn't care about. So I try to add all these layers on top of it. So at the end, hopefully, people are seeing this character that they're like, oh, I can't stand him. Wait a minute, though. Okay, but all right, maybe he shouldn't have done that. And when that conversation starts to happen, I've already won. Even if you don't agree, the actors already won. Even if you don't agree with what they're doing or how they're doing it, it's the fact that now your wheels are turning and it's just not some stereotypical character that you've seen over and over again. Now you're readjusting how you look at this dude. And I hear a lot from people, fortunately enough, that they say, you know what, I really just want to hate that dude. I really just want to hate him, but there's something about him that makes me not want to hate him. And I'm like, yeah. I'm holding that as a testament to my work, but maybe it's just because they like that suit. And it was like, oh, I love that suit he had on, so I can't hate him. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna take whatever I get. So
Curtis, your character is clean on that. I want to be very clear. And I'm before, because I can talk to you all day, Curtis. That means you got to come back. But before I land the plane, I just want to give you props for your acting. What I mean by you're a thespian, and I get it now. I forgot that you were trained over in London. I forgot that you transferred over to Broadway. And for me, those actors who come from the stage often are the real thespians because of the training that you guys have to do those shows day in and day out consistently with no retakes. Right. It's something that makes you guys dig a little bit deeper in. I think there's something about someone who's trained in London and on Broadway and then transfers to television or film has such a competitive advantage. And I'm not throwing shade to anybody else out there, but I mean, the training is bar none. So when you come in, you own the room. Every scene, you own your scene, right? And it makes me think about some of the greats. Like I love, and I'm not going to call anyone out, but like I love certain actors who they would just grab the newspaper, and it's the way they grab the newspaper speaks so much. The way they take off their glasses, it just speaks so much. And I think people forget about, and the real actors, it's the nuance and the motion and the movements. And I think that's why when you come on, you own the scene and you're so powerful in the scene, which makes me smile on the audience. I hope you're taking a note from this. Get your notebooks out. My audience loves notebooks with our shows, is that in spite of Curtis knowing he had all that greatness and he owns every scene, he still now is just a regular for the first time. So for you to keep bringing that, man, is making me love you even more. Because I'm like, how could they not have seen how you own a room? Like I'm just thinking about that restaurant scene, how you just walked in with such force, how you came down the steps into that shop with such gravitas, right? Like you own it. With that being said, Curtis, we talked about empathy a little bit earlier offline, you and I. You living on the East Coast, You guys are shooting in Chicago. It's based on Chicago. Chicago gets a really bad rap. I have a lot of audience, strong audience in Chicago. I haven't had a chance to get there due to the pandemic within the last year plus. I'm just curious your thoughts when it comes to your take on Chicago now that you are so immersed in it. Does it deserve the rap that it's getting? Do you see the why things are happening the way they are and how sometimes the media might have twisted it, or does the media have it right?
Wow. I I would never protest to say that I know Chicago. I've been fortunate enough to be here since January, and like you said, we're still living in this time of COVID and and restrictions, and so because our show is, I think I've heard that they spend like an extra $1 million an episode just on the health safety part of it. So we're in there with masks and people and a lot. So a lot of times I don't want to be the dude that went out there and tried to have fun and brought back COVID and now we shut down. So I will say that the parts of Chicago that I've seen, the black parts of Chicago, are like the black parts of Dayton that I grew up in, or like the black parts of New York that I've seen before, where everybody's like, oh, so scared to do whatever, like don't ride that train, don't ride that bus. But as they say that to me, I see the grandmother with her bags walking down there to get on that same train. Is it because she has to, or it's because she wants to, or whatever, or she loves it, or whatever? But that says to me that maybe it is scary, maybe it can be scary, but it's life. And if we're always judged by the worst parts of our lives, because we all have stuff, right? If we're always judged by that, and always, every time we do something bad, everybody zones in on it, it can make anything appear to be bad. Now, in saying that, the other day I was on a Zoom meeting with my frat brothers, and I heard pop, 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 pop. And
with all that said, right? With all that said, with all that beauty you just mentioned, you know what I mean? It's life, it's grandmother, it's beautiful black woman with groceries and carrots and a sack of potatoes.
And it literally happened right down. I'm on the 30th floor, and it happened right down the balcony. I think it was on the news. They tried to hijack someone's car here or something. Little somebody, little something. The name was Little something.
Oh, Lil Reese.
Yes.
Lil Reese. You were right by Lil Reese getting shot.
It's right here. I went outside and saw him on the ground. I saw him.
We started out with this conversation with that one. Don't let this hype stuff fool you. I get into it, boy. I get into the ratchet.
So but the area that I'm in, you would never think that would happen here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no. It's like, but it's right here. So what I'm saying is that Chicago, I remember when I used to think of Chicago, this is how old, well, not how old I am, but how ignorant I could be sometimes. Whenever I would go straight to the old 40s gangsters. Elliot Ness and
oh yeah, Elliot Ness from the mobsters. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I would go there. I'd be like
Al Capone, Scarface, all
yes,
this.
I'd be like, Curtis, that was 4,000 years ago, and I'm sure it's changed then, bro. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that yes, there are parts of this city and there are people in this world, in the city, who are doing terrible, crazy, ridiculous, stupid things, but I would never judge everyone in this city, or the people that are in the cast that are from Chicago, based on the fact that they grew up here. I mean, who gets to choose, literally, as a child, that I'm from Dayton, Ohio? I didn't, I wasn't like, I came out and said, I want to go Dayton, Ohio. Put me in, I'm a second Dayton. Like you grow there and you live there and you like it or you don't.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it deserves it.
I love Dayton. I've been there a few times. I'm from Michigan, I'm from Lansing, Michigan specifically. But Kurt, I hate that we had to end that conversation with Little Reese, because after all that wonderful story we said the last half hour, I can't get enough of this Little Reese conversation. I just felt like I've negated everything, right? Because now I'm so into this Lil Reese conversation because he keeps getting shot. Oh my God, like stop getting shot. And I can't believe you were there to witness it. Audience, this might actually be breaking news. I might actually send this to the shade room because this is so exciting.
And I still don't know who he is. I still don't know who Lil Reese is.
Whole different level.
I'm like,
Oh, it has Takashi 69 involved. Who wait for his response? I mean, I was following that story all day. That's amazing. I can't believe. Oh my God, audience, do not judge me. I do have range, as you guys know this. I do intersect politics and pop culture, including all facets of pop culture. There's nothing off limits for me. Curtis, I'm so sorry, Curtis, you had to meet that part of me.
no.
But listen, let me just end this conversation off before I get myself in way too much trouble. With that being said, I know Curtis. Look, I'm a Kappa, so I wasn't gonna give you grace. So I'm gonna give you grace and shout out your fraternity. I know you're a big Sigma guy. I see it all the time on Instagram. Go ahead and shout them out.
Yes. Blue five. No, Beta's like chapter Dayton, Ohio.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. Make sure y'all folks tune into Curtis on Instagram. He's a fun time guy, man. So much range. Shout out to Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, just because I cannot let the Sigma have the last word on a Kappa show. So there that is. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great time we've had. Curtis, thank you so much for bringing your brilliance and your vulnerability. As always, I knew that you would. Thank you, man. I can't wait to have you back on again.
Bruh, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I cannot wait until we sit down and talk and do this again.
Same here. Ladies and gentlemen, stay right there and we'll be right back.